This is the 2022 Civic Touring.
Yep.
It's the 11th generation, and we like the Civic Si. That was actually the first Civic that we drove of this generation.
Yep.
And the braking sensor is still on. It's probably because the cameras are blocking it up top.
Yes, that's pretty exciting.
I thought it was birds. I was getting really excited that it was going to be the birds. Like, aim for the birds in the road, and it would just tell you to brake, but no.
Okay, we're about to pull the front cam completely.
Yeah, we're going to have to change cameras.
Yeah.
Okay, stand by while we change cameras. No more hood cam.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to sit here in the review like this.
I think you should. Just point it out the front for occasional shots.
This is what we call the Honda hood cam. I go like this.
Exactly.
This is the Honda hood cam, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Because the sensors are wrecking the normal shot. Here, I need you to see it. Do you see Honda hood cam?
I think
Honda
it got
hood
fixed. Well, that just means the sensors are right up here.
All right.
Well, speaking of technology, I have divided this car into technology I'm glad was invented,
Okay.
and technology that really sucks and I wish wasn't invented.
That's a good group.
Great cars, great roads, and all the reasons we love to drive.
TV, web, and podcast. This is Everyday Driver. VTEC is awesome.
Yes.
And Honda has refined it over the years. They have done many different iterations of it. But now, on this 11th generation, the Civic Touring, the VTEC is on the exhaust cam, which means it enables the engine to make the same power as the older non-VTEC engines while using regular fuel.
Yeah.
That is a good thing, especially in the time of high gas prices, and it gets great gas mileage. 34
does.
combined.
34 combined, 38 on the highway, and if you get the lesser engine, the lower model, you can get maybe as much as 40, but 38 on the highway is phenomenal. 31 in the city, 34 combined. That is excellent.
Yes.
There are so many things to say about this car because we loved the new SI.
Yes.
But I
awesome.
cannot take away the fact that you step down from the SI and the car's still really good. And the car that I kept thinking of that is in the same category as this, same part of the market, and we've driven the upper level and the lower level, and we like them all, is the current Corolla.
Okay.
The Corolla is one of those cars that we've overlooked because it hasn't been very good, and like some versions have been okay and whatever. But
we've overlooked it for decades.
But the current Corolla, we've driven it in pretty much every trim, and we like it quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we had the Corolla XSE trim as a sedan for one of our comparisons. And I kept circling back to compare those two cars.
And the hatch, the XSE hatch was with
exactly. And that XSE trim sedan was almost the exact same price, and it's very similar in power, except this is a turbo.
Yes, right.
Little 1.5 liter turbo engine. The base model gets the bigger engine, no turbo, of this. Gets the 2 liter.
Right.
And a slightly differently ratioed CVT. There's a different CVT on the lower model than there is in this one. And the CVT is okay. Can I be that bold? It's okay?
Well, it's in the category now. We have to touch on technologies I wish weren't invented. Selfie sticks.
Yes.
Speed cameras.
True.
Automated extended car warranty phone calls.
Have you got one of those? Your car may be out of warranty. Yes, it is.
And of course, CVT transmissions. You've heard us rant about them. They are the bane of existence to humankind. And it seems like it neuters the car. It takes away all fun. Except you're right. This is kind of decent. It seems like it's not as overprotective of the car. Like, ooh, don't rev it too hard. Don't drive too hard because be careful, kids.
Fair, yeah.
The one in this is sort of like,
sure,
let's try it out.
It's like I can try that. That's
cracking
good.
a beer, like,
sure, why not?
Sure, let's try that. 180 horsepower engine, 177 pound-feet of torque, and it seems like this doesn't get in the way of the power, especially in sport mode, and it hangs onto a gear. And in the touring model, this trim level is the only one with paddles on the steering wheel. And when you downshift and continue to downshift, it doesn't protect the engine like, ooh, 4,000 RPM is a little high. We better not go that high.
You gotta be careful. I only go to 6,500. We're at 4. I gotta be worried. Yeah.
This transmission's just like, screw it.
Yeah.
Let's rev the engine.
Let's try that.
Downshift.
That's funny.
There's some sporting character
that
is surprising and unexpected in the touring.
Are you in sport?
I am in sport.
You are in sport. Good.
You can't move the lever into like a gear because there are no gears.
Yes, there are no gears.
But when you start to get after it, it's actually pretty quick on the upshifts and downshifts. So here we're in 4th, 3rd. Let's see if it over revs. See, it did it. Went to 2nd.
Yeah.
It's just hanging out. I like that.
Yeah.
Props to Honda.
Yeah, for sure.
Honda has claimed that the Civic is their number one car to get people to the Honda brand.
Yes.
For young drivers, for multicultural buyers. They have done a great job on the Civic. I never paid attention to the Civic, much like we didn't pay attention to the Corolla for years. Then the new Si came out and we thought, what's this?
Yeah.
This is great, drives well. Same thing with the Touring. I had high hopes, and I am not disappointed.
This 11th gen is a fantastic refinement of the Civic from the 10th gen in styling, in handling dynamics. And we drove the last gen Civic in pretty much every form as well. And we loved the Type R, and the rest of them we were a bit mixed on. This is stepping down into the I am not a sporting person. That's what I think is interesting. This is the non-sporty trim. It's the loaded trim. It's 30 grand, just under, but it's not the I'm about driving first, which is the Si and certainly the Type R. And yet this has good dynamics, excellent bones, if you will.
It does, yeah.
To just drive, just have.
We never like to dive deep into specs, but they are revealing when we feel something about the character of our car. And that is the steering ratio. On the Alfa Romeo Giulia, we have loved on that car because it's so quick. It has great handling, good steering feel.
Very sharp turn-in, yes.
11.8 to 1 for the Alfa Giulia.
Yeah.
The Touring, this car, has 11.5 to 1.
It's
You
amazing.
felt it immediately.
Yes,
you turn
for sure.
into your first corner and you thought, what
Agreed.
car is this?
It dives, for sure.
That's interesting. And the Sport has 11.3 to 1. What is Honda doing? This is the Touring. Touring suggests
You're right.
You've retired. You've checked out of life. You're just
Yeah, fair.
cruising. That's what this would suggest, and it's not. It's actually kind of fun.
Yeah, it's surprisingly fun for the upper level trim of a Civic.
Yeah, see? It wants to move. Most CVTs barely drag you away from the light.
You're right. Yeah.
Sucks. This one kind of moves, and it's actually, there's something here. I'm coming away more impressed than I thought, even though I had high hopes for this car. There's Audi influence on this car.
You think so? Okay, go on.
There's, I think the 2 generations ago on the Audi A4, there was a nice kick up from the rocker all the way around the rear bumper. Same line on this car. Nice strong shoulder line all the way down, except the lights are too big. They're a little bit like baby's eyes, just the brand new world.
Oh, a new car!
Kind of is.
That's funny. Okay, all right.
But the headlights, actually, despite the Lone Ranger,
You're
we're
still
going
stuck
with
with the
that
mask
look.
on. I know.
Honda's still stuck with
You're
the
right.
mask.
That's what I'm saying. You're stuck on it because they're stuck on it. I get it.
I actually appreciate it. They have backed off on the aggressiveness of this generation, so it doesn't stand out quite as much. I think the 10th generation looks newer than this car.
Interesting.
You see one of those and you think,
Yes.
what is though? That's right. That's
That's
Civic.
the prior one. But I do think this is a better refined, more adult, grown-up design that I think is more universal. Now, on the flip side, to your point, it's not as maybe interesting and quirky, but I think it's made it a lot more just acceptable in general.
That translates to sales.
Yeah,
right
you're
there.
right. You're right. Yeah.
When you sit inside, the first thing I thought is, this is bigger than the 1992 Honda Accord EX that I had.
I looked it up. It is the same length and wheelbase as the one you owned in the 90s. We're not just discussing, hey, cars have gotten bigger. This is the compact car from Honda, and it is
glad you
currently
did.
the same length and wheelbase as the 1990s era Accord that you owned. Now, I realize that's 30 years ago, but it
Honda,
always
really,
had
yeah.
plenty of space.
I mean, the back seat in
Oh, yes.
this car is excellent. We noted that on the Civic Si. We're scratching our heads going, what sorcery is this? What did Honda do? How do you pack the package of this and have excellent back seat space? I mean, excellent. Better than cars bigger than this.
Better than most.
Genesis G70, Acura TLX.
Oh, big time. Big time.
This is
Yes.
way better. This is the car to get. You have people to carry. It's great. And the interior is also simple. I really like the joysticks behind the honeycomb.
It's really cool.
It's a simple,
and
panel.
awesome.
Yes, the screen looks stuck on, but it's not too big, and it's almost just kind of like it flipped up. It has that appearance. It just sort of
It
flips
does, yeah.
forward, and you just sort of leave it up, even though it is fixed. And then the seating position, great, excellent. There's plenty of
There's
space in here.
great space
This
in
is a
here.
Civic, indicating that it would be a small car. It's not. It's great for road trips. The seats are good, even though I'd like a little bit more lumbar back there, but
yeah.
the seats are decent. You sit low, and everything is so clear and intuitive to the point where I needed the recirculate button. It's right there. I can almost touch it when I do this on the steering wheel. Oh, right there. Perfect. Yes, they thought things through. The instrument panels, the HVAC is easy and clear to use.
And all of these
great.
knobs feel very high-end. They have a wonderful tactile
Yes.
click to them. They feel good. They look good. Honda had a correction last generation, because when they went with the crazy styling of the 10th gen, they also went with a lot of everything's in the touchscreen, there are no knobs, everything's haptic. Guess who's done that this gen? Volkswagen. And Honda corrected, and now with this gen, they've corrected further. There's plenty of good stuff in the touchscreen. It's
Yeah.
easy to use. We've got wireless Apple CarPlay in here. All of that is wonderful, but you have actual buttons on the steering wheel,
Yes.
actual buttons and knobs here for HVAC, which you need all the time, and then lots of the stuff that you're going to dig into occasionally, that's all on the touchscreen. They've balanced it out in a way that I don't know
Yes.
that any other manufacturer has found yet. Everybody else has
I
swung
agree.
way into touchscreens and haptic, and they haven't really balanced yet, but Honda did it last gen Civic so that this one is right.
Ergonomically, they figured it out.
Yeah, they did.
It's got a volume knob. This is great. And it's fun just to readjust the temperature. I just feel like readjusting because it's fun to use. It's
Yes,
cool. It's
yes.
interesting, and it's clean. It's going to age well. It feels well built. And by the way, the wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay is only on the Touring.
But you're right. I mean, the simplicity here of, this joystick thing behind the honeycomb, it feels like an idea somebody would have had 20 years ago.
No
And yet
kidding.
Here it is, and it works really great.
But it feels fresh,
It does, and
weirdly.
it makes the interior seem really clean, which is where everybody's chasing with putting everything in a screen. Let's get a really clean interior. They've done clean and yet ergonomic and simple.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. I cannot believe how usable this is, especially behind the term compact.
It just works for so many people. You must try this. I haven't ridden over here yet.
It's pretty cool.
This is nice. Oh,
Brand-
it's power over here?
That is.
Whoa,
The loaded out Civic is power everything. Isn't it pretty cool? Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
This is best in class rear space. Having been in pretty much
Oh,
everything, it's best in class. And you said it before, the rear space is actually better than many things in the class above this. I do not know how Honda's done it. I really don't.
You have a sunroof.
Yep.
You got everything you're looking for in a car.
And I'm going to come back to power and CVT because we
Technology
typically
we wish weren't invented.
Yes, we typically, I'm in sports still, we typically are not huge fans of really tiny turbocharged engines, but this one is
True.
still really good.
True.
We also hate CVTs. I can't overstress how much we hate CVTs. You said it already.
Vitriol.
They mute the car. Now,
Yeah.
I do not want you to get the impression that all is forgiven and this is a CVT and it's great, because if I put my foot to the floor,
Oh yeah, of course.
it still does the rubber bandy, I gotta find myself droney thing. It still
Right.
does.
Right.
But then I come back to Honda Civic Touring.
Okay.
Even in sport mode, I don't think you're going to drive it that way that much. You're right. The paddles, if you
I
use
kind
them-
of did.
I know. We do.
Everything worked great until the tires just let me down.
We do. But, and I think, look, you can use the paddles. You made this point. The paddles are good. I mean, but I think where this really shines is average driving.
Okay. Yeah.
Because if you
yeah.
go, you want to leave the light. And it has, because of that turbo engine and because of the way the
can
CVT
move.
is combined with it, it just kind of wafts its way away from the light in that kind of
Okay,
almost
sure.
electric car kind of way. You kind of go, well, that's a good amount of power. It's not blowing
Yes.
your mind, but you don't go, come on, catch up like you do in some small engine cars.
Yes,
It's
yes.
it just takes you away from the light. When you drive this at like 6-7 like commute speeds, it's superb. And
Yeah.
at that point,
Yeah.
the CVT fades away. So it's just the way the power got to the wheels, and you don't notice anymore. And that's been my problem
That's a
with CVTs.
good way of putting it. It does kind of fade into the
you
background.
don't think about what it is at all.
That's
and
good,
so many
yeah.
times, that's the thing, CVTs never go away. They constantly interrupt what you're doing. You're like, why is this car not figuring it out? It's the CVT. This one, when you drive it normally, it's fine.
Yeah.
When you push
Yeah.
it hard, the CVT falls apart. When you push it hard, the handling isn't enough. Are you going to drive this car that way? I kind of doubt
That's why
it.
they build the Civic Si. That's
It's
why
exactly
the Civic
why they
Type
have
R.
the
It
SI.
bodes so well
It's
for the Civic Type R.
Yeah.
It bodes
This
well.
chassis is so good. Now you
Yes.
understand why the Civic is so good and why the Civic Type R will probably be amazing.
Yeah.
Because this car, as you buy it, $30,000, okay, that's a little high, but we are in the loaded Civic. You can't get more Civic than this without going SI, and then that, of course, is more sporty anyway.
Right,
So
right.
this is your loaded out one. I struggle when I drive this car to understand why you would buy, I know this sounds crazy, the Accord or the G70 or those kind of cars.
Yeah.
Because now the G70 thankfully is rear-wheel drive, but mid-sized cars start to not make sense when you drive this Civic. That's a surprise. That's a real
You're
surprise
absolutely
because you
right.
drive this and just go, if I need car to do car things, and I can commute, I got to take people with me, I got to go to the airport later. It's got a 60-40 back split, it's got a big back seat, it gets good gas mileage, it isn't bothersome in the way it delivers power. It just does it.
But it's also not a drag.
No.
It's not a grind.
No, it's not.
Yes, it fits all those needs and checks all the boxes, but it's the car and I have to drive.
Agreed.
No, it's actually kind of fun.
I agree.
It's kind of enjoyable and exciting to get in and just drive it.
Good chassis dynamics.
Yeah.
Multi-link rear suspension. A lot of stuff in this class has the torsion beam. I mean, the Mazda 3, we love the Mazda 3, but it has a torsion beam now. And the Mazda 3 has been the standout for us in this class.
For a long time.
I find myself at a bit of a wash right now because I like the Mazda 3 a lot. The turbo's awesome. Okay. But a Mazda 3 that's not the loaded turbo, and the loaded turbo is going to be $6,000 or $7,000 more than this.
You're right.
So once you step out of the loaded turbo, you're shopping $30,000.
36,
I think I might get the Civic over the Mazda 3, and that's saying a lot because I like the Mazda 3. This car is sitting here not only in this class, just kind of standing up going, hi, notice me yet? But also the classes around it, especially at $30,000.
Yeah, at $30,000. The MSRP is just under 30.
And you cannot get more Civic than this.
That's huge.
Every box checked.
Yes. With the power, with the gas mileage, and the fact that you can use regular fuel.
Yes, in the turbo.
This is in the turbocharged engine is a standout.
And the dynamics are okay. Yes, there's body roll. It's not.
It doesn't need to be more than okay. It's still kind of interesting through the corner because of that steering ratio.
It has excellent body control. It doesn't do anything wallowy. It rolls a lot because it's not designed to be your canyon carving car.
Right, but then on a commute or a road trip,
you'll be normal driving, you're going to be perfectly happy.
Yes.
Yes, I totally agree. I wanted this to be good because we like the SI. And I keep driving this just thinking about who's the buyer. And the buyer is somebody that is just buying, that is the only car I'm buying. I'm just buying that.
Sure.
I just need a car and I need to do everything. And this is where I'm sitting here going, I don't think in that category you need any more than this. You don't need to spend any more than this. And look at what you got.
It's actually still kind of fun. It's not all the fun.
No.
But you're having some of it.
Yes. So many times when you buy the all-in-one, do-it-all car, it does all the stuff and has no fun at all. It's just an appliance. This does all those appliance things really well and still has a little bit of playfulness so that if you take an on-ramp fast, if you do a cloverleaf really quickly, you don't scare yourself, I really shouldn't do that because I just scared the car and everybody's freaked out. The car's like, okay, to your point earlier, it is that kind of crack a beer, let's try it kind of demeanor that exists in this car that is by its nature supposed to be mundane. And it has that guy behind it.
Yes. It's sort of like, sure, let's go skydiving.
Sure not. I'm not made for skydiving. I'm far too heavy. I weigh 3,000 pounds, but let's jump out of the plane. Why not?
Let's do that.
Yes.
That's a great point. By the way, this is just over 3,000 pounds. This weighs less than my Cayman GTS. My Cayman GTS is 3133, right about there. This is 3077. 3,000 pounds.
Yep.
With a turbocharged engine.
That's still
It's
CVT
touching
drone-y.
redline at every shift.
It's still CVT drone-y, but it
sort of
actually pulls the
let's
power
go
out of the
skydiving.
engine. It tries as hard as it can. But you can get this car in the base model, which doesn't have this turbo engine.
Right.
You can get it in the base model at 2,800 pounds.
Yes, even less.
With with 16-inch wheels. I didn't know anybody still made 16-inch wheels. So you can go base on this car. And I'm not recommending that. I'm actually saying spend $30,000 and compete with mid-size cars at $10,000 more than that. That is a coup on behalf of Honda, and that's the thing that every time I drive this, I'm really surprised by how competitive it is in its segment and the segments around it for $29,000 and change. And it's just solid.
I'm just relieved because this bodes well for the Civic Type R, but it bodes well for the future of Honda.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And every other product. Because if this is your introduction to the Honda brand, you will think everything is like this. It just gets bigger and better from here,
it's
right?
not all this good, but you will think that this is what Honda does.
But
You're
if
right.
this kind of resets the meter, yes, let's have more of this, Honda.
I have to bring this up because I read it in the press materials. Press materials always have got funny things you don't expect.
They're always enjoyable.
My favorite funny thing I didn't expect here is, did you know that the Honda Civic is the third most Instagrammed car. I don't know what 1 and 2 are because they're bound to be exotics, but according to Honda, the Civic is the third most Instagrammed car. So it's got to be things like Lamborghini something, Ferrari what's it, and Honda Civic, third most Instagrammed car. Yay.